Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pope.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things we're talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Pope. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
Time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
Time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to
First
demand the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. That was DJ Skippy you hear every morning introducing the show, so thank you very much, Skippy. Much appreciated for the fine introduction there and gathering of music. All right, today is 22nd of September. 22nd of September 2015. Let's look at what we're dealing with today. Our sun sign is in Virgo. If we look over here to the right to the 23rd tomorrow, we see the sun at 3:20 a.m. moves into Libra, which is the next sign following Virgo. If I go over here, we look at the wheel. We can just check it out ourselves. You could see here is Virgo. Here's our sun sign, and we're going to be crossing from here because we make a counterclockwise circle. We're going to be crossing from here from Virgo into Libra. Okay, so that's where we're going to be. So one more day of Virgo. What do we know about Virgo? We know that Virgo in the tarot card represents the Hermit, or the Hermit in tarot represents Virgo. It's the one who holds the lantern high, shining the light for others to see. Now, as we move from this, we're getting ready to move into the next phase. I'll give a little advance notice about where we're to go. We're going to be going to Libra, and Libra right here is Tarot card of Justice. Karmic balance. Karmic balance. So very interesting that on the 23rd of the month we move into a time of karmic balance with all of the other things going on. So whatever's going on, it deals with karma. And remember, we have a individual karma. There's a planetary karma. There's a group karma. So whatever's going on in the world will have effect in many different ways and will affect everybody in different ways because everybody has a different karma that they're working off. So this is something that we're going to be looking at as we go over the course of this next day and next month. So we've got the moon sign is in Capricorn, and it will remain in Capricorn for the rest of today and into tomorrow. And remember, Capricorn is tarot card of the devil. Tarot card of the devil is all about illusion. It's not about this character. That's the illusion that this character is out there, and there may be something like this. We certainly know that there's weird-looking things in the world, and we certainly know that the character like this has been brought to life in movies and books and so on. But ultimately, as I was saying yesterday, that star right there, that's the important part, because that star is simply a symbol. Symbols are simply images that represent things. So this symbol represents how energy is used. We could either use energy where we allow it to flow in through our crown chakra, which is when the star is facing this way, and you got the point up top. Or we could be looking at it the other way when the energy is flowing in through the root chakra. Now there's a big difference between the crown chakra and the root chakra. Crown chakra is the one that's pulling in things and with the higher spiritual ideals. The root chakra is the one that's dealing with the earthly aspects of things. So root chakra, earth, crown chakra, spirit. You're looking at these two things. If you're in the root chakra and that's where your energy is coming in, you might be caught up in the illusion that that's all there is, the earth, the physical, and therefore the physical needs are the things that need to be attended to. So misuse of energy is when we flip things that way, okay? And with the misuse of energy comes the ignorance of thinking that we are tied up or chained to some sort of block. This is a block of ignorance. This character is sitting on the block of ignorance. Everything is about ignorance because there is an illusion that the physical world is all there is. But once you get past that and realize there's the fire, the water, the air, you realize that there's a lot more to that, and we don't have to get caught up in that illusion. We free ourselves up. Because the physical world has its issues and its challenges. Things become more dense. And when I use the word dense, what I mean is, you know how with the Kybalion we talk about how energy moves and vibrates? Well, it vibrates at different speeds. Some speeds are very, very slow. And when something moves slow, it becomes, the term that's used is denser or heavier. It's moving at a place that allows that energy, because of its slowness, to appear more solid. Whereas things that are moving at a faster vibration appear in ways that aren't solid. We might not even see them if they're moving very, very fast. And so therefore we have these two different extremes of energy. It's all energy. There's just two poles. You have one pole here is the very dense, and then one pole here that's the very light. And we go back and forth between these two. Okay? But again, we're going back and forth. Once we get stuck in the physical, then we get caught up in that illusion of what that's all about. So over the course of today, beginning early this morning at 7 a.m., just a little more than an hour ago, the moon sign, Capricorn, is in a conjunction with Pluto. Pluto wants us to go through transformation. Pluto is all about deep transformation. So again, a conjunction means they're together. So let's go take a look at this with Capricorn and Pluto. So we're looking for the Capricorn and we're looking for the Pluto. And there they are right there. Wait a minute. Where are we at here? I'm having trouble finding this. Here we go. So with the Capricorn and Pluto, and it's conjunct, this is a house. Okay, these in astrology, these are all called houses. So in this house, what it means when it says that these are conjunct is it means they're both in the house together and they're hanging out and having a conversation. So Pluto is saying, hey, it's time that we really go through this transformation we have to go through. And Capricorn is saying, well, I don't know. I kind of like things in the physical the way they are. And Pluto says, nope, we got to make a change. Time for us to transform. Capricorn says, I don't know. Things are pretty good here. The physical world is, really an awesome place. And they're having this conversation, figuring out what's going to go on. Now, there's nothing bad about Capricorn, because Capricorn, the physical world, is where we are. We're working or we're living in the physical world. We have to learn to navigate within the physical world, but we also have to remind ourselves that the physical world is only the physical world, and there's the other worlds as well, the spiritual, mental, water, air. So we have lots of different ways to look at this energy, okay? So that's what the conjunction is there. Now, as we move forward from there, we have a couple of lessons we're going to be dealing with today. The first one is going to be just shy of 10 o'clock. And here we have Mercury. Mercury's all about communication. Mercury's all about communication, communicating in many different ways. Communication is not necessarily just talking to somebody. That is a form of communication, but communication can be writing. Any way we correspond with others. Remember this second principle here in the Kybalion, the principle of correspondence. Correspondence is a form of communication. We correspond with somebody. When you write, when you use the term writing, we say we're corresponding. So it's a form of communication. So with this mind every aspect of the mind corresponds or communicates with every other aspect of the mind. So as we go through this day and we go through this lesson, Mercury, our ability to communicate, is dealing with a lesson of communication and this illusion, communicating our way through the illusion. Okay, we need to see, we need to learn, because if we just get caught up in this illusion and what we're saying and speaking into the world is based only on that, we're going to be missing the point. We're not going to be really seeing what it is we need to see because we're misseeing. As we get into the evening, 5:15 p.m., Capricorn is going to be in a sextile with Chiron. Chiron's the wounded aspect of ourselves, the wounded healer, the one who goes in and heals. We have to be our own physicians, so to speak. There's a term, physician, know thyself. We need to all be able to go and find that aspect of ourselves that is wounded and heal it. So as we go through this transformations, as we learn the lessons, we find there are parts of ourselves that need to be healed. First aspect of healing ourselves is forgiveness. We need to forgive the mistakes that are made. We need to forgive any aspect that's holding us back, because when we hold on to things, we're not forgiving. We have to forgive, to let go. Okay? Now, we have a void of course, which is going to take place at 6:13 p.m., which means we leave the last aspect of Capricorn, and we go all the way until 12:51 tomorrow afternoon. So we've got from 6 o'clock tonight, 6:13, all the way till 12:15 tomorrow, where we're in between moon signs. Okay, it's called void of course. And that's going to begin with Uranus, unexpected changes taking place and teaching us a lesson about illusion. And then as we get to this evening, 11 p.m., Venus and Uranus are going to make a nice, good trine, which means now there's a way. We're going to use our imagination. So this first one here, with the unexpected changes that come about as things go void, of course, are the surprises that we get. And once we settle down from the surprises which take place in the physical world, because it's a lesson with Capricorn, an earth sign, with these surprises in the physical world, by the time we've had a chance to process that, which would be very quick over a several hour period of time, our imagination is going to kick in to see how can we make this and utilize this to a way that is going to be beneficial to ourselves and to others. Okay? Is that making sense? On the Jewish calendar, today is 9 Tishri. It's the eve of Yom Kippur. It says right here that in the early morning hours preceding Yom Kippur, the Kaparat, or atonement ceremony, is performed. Take a live chicken, rooster, or male, encircling it 3 times above our heads. We declare, this is my replacement, this is my exchange, this is my atonement. The fowl shall go to its death, and I shall go a long, good way of peaceful life. The fowl is then slaughtered in accordance with the halalic procedure, at which time we contemplate that this is also the fate for ourselves we deserve. God forbid, for our failings and inequities. The value of the fowl is given to the poor. Meat eaten in the Yom Kippur meal gives some to the fowl poor. Okay? An alternate custom is to perform the rite only with money, reciting the prescribed verses and giving money to charity. All right, so basically the idea, if you don't happen to have a chicken running around in your place, or if the only chicken you can find might be a chicken you get in the store, if you don't have a chicken, use the idea of what it's about. Okay, the idea is Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. Rosh Hashanah came in, reminding us about Adam and Eve and the beginning when God created man and woman. And through that period, this 10-day period of time, we're reminded that we've made mistakes. Adam and Eve made mistakes, and through these times, these 10 days, we've had a chance to look at the mistakes, forgive ourselves for making the mistakes, and then move forward in life to be able to do things better. And the Day of Atonement is the day where we're able to take all of those mistakes and things and just kind of let them go. And so the whole idea here of putting the energy into the chicken is the idea of putting all of your stuff in there and getting rid of the chicken. But you don't have to necessarily have a chicken to do that. And if I was a chicken and I was living here on the earth, I'd probably find a place to hide today, because there's a lot of people running around looking for chickens. I'm just saying. So what we got to do is we just need to take the ideas, and we can do it without chicken, as I was saying, by just taking the idea of our sins and all the mistakes that we've made and just letting them go. It can be that simple. We let them go. We become at one, atonement, at one with the universe. And the way we become at one is we get rid of the thing that is dividing us. What is the thing that is dividing us or separating us from the oneness? It's the mistakes that we made. And oftentimes, with the mistakes that we make, it's not that God is separating us from the oneness. We separate ourselves, because when mistakes occur, we get upset with ourselves, and therefore we don't forgive ourselves, and we hold ourselves back. That is why we are the ones that have to let go of all of the problems that go on in our lives. We need to forgive ourselves so that we can be at one as opposed to being divided. And once we get at one with things, then we find that there's a lot of peace and a lot of really interesting things that take place in our life. Now, the daily thought is like yesterday: write your own script. You came on stage with the script in your hand. The script tells of you, the hero of the story, bringing light into the place of darkness, repairing that which is broken, healing that which has fallen ill, creating beauty from the scattered fragments of everyday life. Your soul is tied to that script. Without it, you have no reason to be here. For you were conceived within that concept, born to fill that role. And should you fail to perform according to the script, what then? Then you must write your own script, the one that can heal even that which you present, which yourself have broken. And your Creator, who conceived you and conceived this entire plan, what will He think of the new script that you have composed? He will laugh in delight, exclaiming, "Look at my child. She's written her own script." So, very interesting here as we see some of these words. We said we came with a script in our hand, the hero bringing light to the places of darkness. We have light into the darkness. So there's some synchronicity going on there. Okay? That's what we are. We're the heroes. We are the ones we've been waiting for. The information we need is here. The only problem is we get caught up in the illusion of what is being said on the earthly plane by earthly beings. Beings who we think of as being diabolical because they're not out to spread true information. So we've got this illusion that's going on. This is what happens when we turn on the news, any of the mainstream news. We get the illusion because they tell us what is going on the earth, but they don't encourage us to look at the spirit to understand. They don't encourage us to go forth as elders of shining the light for others to see. And so that's where all the difference is. So we need to learn to be able to shine the light. Again, it goes back to, are we going to remember that we're more than just physical beings? Or are we just going to think we're physical and that's it? Be all and all physical, no more than that. And once we realize there's more than just the physical, everything changes. All right, today being the last day for the Day of Atonement, we are going to listen to the sound of the shofar again. Okay, very nice. Now again, the shofar reminding us very simply of God's promise of taking care of us, looking out for us, protecting us. We just need to exercise faith. If we trust God, amazing things will happen, because God then will honor us and with the trust with which we have put forth. Very simple, very simple. And again, it goes back to the story of Abraham and Isaac. Abraham was following what he was told, and then the angel came, said, you don't have to kill your child. And a ram appeared, and so the ram's horn, the shofar, is there as a reminder of God's forgiveness, of God's ability to do whatever God needs to do to make things better. Okay, on the Mayan oracle, today is a three-tone day. It's the tone of activation. It's called the electric tone. The phrase is, I activate in order to influence, bonding wisdom. I seal the process of free will with the electric tone of service, and I am guided by the power of intelligence. So we have right here, the human, which is the kin for today. The guide is the warrior. The warrior asks questions, which is why you have the question mark. Asking these questions helps us with our intelligence. The like-minded energy is the hand. The hand can heal, can accomplish. The hand can also kill and destroy. The question is, how are we going to use our hand? To heal or to kill? Challenge for today is the wind, which is the inspiration, allowing spirit to inspire us. And our hidden power, the moon, is all about our ability to purify ourselves. Okay? Current moon phase, 64% of the way full, making its way up to the full moon. We'll be there soon enough. Spaceweather.com. Solar wind is 594.7 kilometers per second. Planetary KX between a 2 and a 3. Big coronal hole in the sun popping up. It's more like a big, couple big holes here. M-class flare possibility is 30, dropping down to 30. X-class stays at 5. Geomagnetic storm activity seems to be about 25% in the mid-latitudes, and the upper latitudes increasing. In some areas, 30 to 35. So we'll just pay attention to what's going on there. We have here a notice, Equinox Aurora Watch. It says, for reasons researchers don't fully understand, auroras love equinoxes. At this time of the year, the gentle gust of solar wind can spark a bright display. Tomorrow, September 23rd, in the northern hemisphere's autumnal equinox, perfect timing. A CME is expected to deliver a glancing blow to Earth's magnetic field on September 23rd. The impact will probably be weak, but the first night of autumn week may be strong enough. High latitude sky watchers should be alert for the equinox auroras. So with everything else going on, we also have the equinox. Lots of changes, things going through the process of change, and finally looking up at the sky. It says the eclipsing binary star Eagle should be at minimum brightness, magnitude 3.4 instead of 2.1 for a couple of hours, centered at 9:20 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Okay. And there you have it. That's the cosmic weather for today. What we're dealing with, energy all around us. UFO news is up. Let's get to it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. First story today. Story of a black triangle UFO captured on video hovering over city. A UFO shaped like a triangle of lights has been caught on camera flying high above San Diego. The phenomenon has become known as the black triangle sightings because of the video, because of the shape. The video, which has been shot during the night, clearly shows a formation of lights floating above someone's house. If you look closely, you can see lights made up of triangular shapes similar to large objects that have been seen before. All right. For some reason, it doesn't want to play this. See the object in question. There they are right there. Next, I've got a piece here. This is quite interesting. I'm just going to let the video aspect of this play. I'm going to keep the volume down. But this was sent to me by a friend, reminding me of this event which took place at the Disclosure Conference. Remember the hearing that took place? This was a hearing that took place in May. It was a year ago, or was it even? Might have been 2 years now. Anyway, this was a situation. You see this person right here, the way in which they've just got this very bizarre look upon their face. Well, I remember watching this, and I was reminded when I saw this video last night about this, that I thought this was very strange when I saw it, the way this person just sat there, and the look on their face. And the title here says Reptilian Hybrid caught in the act of UFO disclosure, or act at UFO disclosure conference. It was very bizarre. You know, they do a close-up of the eyes. I'm not sure really what's going on here, but at one point you could see that they do something weird, and there's something about the eyes which do look a little weird. Maybe they're just shifting back and forth. Not quite certain there, but it is bizarre. So thank you for sending me the clip and reminding me about this, because yes, this is very bizarre. Now, is this someone who is there seeing that he says the right things? I don't know. Don't know what the purpose is, why he would be there. Just very bizarre, and they almost look alike, don't they? I mean, there's very much a similar appearance between this gentleman and Stephen Greer on the right-hand side. Don't know what that means. Just is what it is. 2 UFOs near the SOHO satellite. SOHO, the object that looks at the sun. Here we have an object, as you could see here. It moves. You can see the way which it moves here. Seems like it moved from up here, it came down, and this way. This would be the tail of it, and this would be the point at which it was moving. Timestamp date shows us this happened at 1942 hours on the 18th. So 1942 hours, that would be 7:42 p.m. 7:42 p.m. For those just wondering how you figure out this time, a 24-hour day would be 2400 hours. So 12 o'clock would be 1200. And if we're going to go past the 12, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no change here in the counting. It continues to count past the 12. So if we go past that and we were to keep counting onward, this would actually be 7 o'clock. Okay. So 7:42 p.m. on the 18th. This is when this took place here. It says, guys, I love looking through the Lasco's 3 photos and found 2 UFOs shoot past SOHO. As I viewed the sun, the first moved so fast it looks like a trail and reveals how it made a hard left turn towards the satellite. The second just appears after the first, as if it was chasing the first UFO. Okay, this comes to us from Scott C. Waring over at UFO Sightings Daily. Next, we have a story of a white UFO over a small town in Montana. This was the 21st. There's our object in question. White glowing. We definitely see that there's something in the middle, which is a little bit different. So is this the object, and then this glow is expanded around it to protect it as a force field? Don't know. What I do know is this UFO was seen in a small town in Montana, a low-populated area with 1,777 people. UFOs frequent less populated areas on purpose to be less noticed. There also seems to be glowing mist around this one. Okay, the video sells 3 minutes 12 seconds. And there it is in question. All right, very good. Moving on. This one here says that once again, transmission is cut when the UFO comes into view at the space station. Not the first time we've heard about this type of thing happening. Probably won't be the last, because the folks over at NASA, they don't think that people are really able to deal with the fact that there's aliens out there, extraterrestrials, so they want to keep people in the dark. Literally. So says here, looks quite way off. Transmission stops. Maybe they lost the signal. Yeah, maybe they lost the signal. The National Academy of Space Actors. National Academy of Space Actors. Snowden claims encryption would prevent alien messages from being recognized. Alien Silence explains Snowden says encryption could be squashing space signals. Encryption has become a top priority for those wanting to protect their privacy online, but U.S. whistleblower Edward Snowden says that security measures could be making it impossible to detect signals sent from aliens. His comments were made during an interview on the Star Trek podcast of astrophysicist and science communicator Neil deGrasse Tyson. The whistleblower was speaking from Moscow via a robot video link called Beam, remote presence system controlling the robot from Russia. He was able to roll straight into Tyson's office at the Hayden Planetarium in New York. When Tyson was asked Snowden if a highly intelligent alien civilization might be communicating with encrypted messages, Snowden began by saying that most advanced societies realize that they need to encrypt their communications, and this could be the reason why we've never heard from other civilizations. If you have an alien civilization trying to listen to for other civilizations, or our civilization is trying to listen for aliens, there's only one small period in the development of their society when all communication will be sent via the most primitive and most unprotected means. Snowden said, so when we think about everything that we're hearing through our satellites, or everything that they're hearing from our civilization, he added that the encryption would render communication indistinguishable from cosmic microwave background radiation. If you look at the encrypted communications, if they are properly encrypted, there is no real way to tell that they are encrypted. You can't distinguish a properly encrypted communication from random behavior. Snowden is less famous for his views on extraterrestrials, and more so for leaking classified documents which reveal the U.S. government's secret mass surveillance program. The whistleblower now resides in Russia, where he was granted asylum after Washington charged him with theft and espionage. Okay, there you have it. That is our UFO news for today. Since we're going to be dealing with particular subjects that need to wake us up, we're going to listen to Wake Up right now. I'll be back.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, what they're losing from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
All right, let's continue on. So, the question I ask at the beginning of that song is, or that is asked is, if you knew that your government was involved with some of these greatest atrocities that have occurred, would you want to know? It was a question that was asked in the movie V for Vendetta. And I think it's a question a lot of Americans ask, perhaps even people around the world. A lot of people don't want to know what's really going on. They would much rather pretend that it doesn't exist. You and I both know individuals who are like that. I know people who have told me point blank, because there's nothing that they can do, they don't want to know. They would just rather go through life with blinders on, pretending that they don't see. That way, they're not going to be affected by things. And I understand, because sometimes things are very tough for people to deal with. But I also believe that life doesn't give us more than we can handle. I believe life gives us what it is we need to learn. I believe that God, gives us what it is we need to learn. And sometimes we're the ones who decide, well, we can't really handle that. But for some reason, the universe, some higher power, believes that we can handle it. And when we really take charge of ourselves, we find out we can handle it. There's too many people in the world these days which are victims. Not victims because somebody is making them a victim, but a victim because their mind has victimized themselves. When we hear the various races continuing to talk about how they're victimized or oppressed, they're the ones keeping that victimization and oppression alive. It's 2015. We don't have the same oppressions that we had here in America that we had in the 50s or the 60s or the 70s. Things have changed quite drastically. There's a lot of freedom in the world. There's a lot of freedom in America. But there's also a lot of thought which is trying to convince us that we're still the oppressed people we were. Now, if we were to track where this line of thinking comes from, it's because of the illusion that is created in the physical world. The illusion. And where does this illusion come from? When you turn on the mainstream media. The mainstream media is not the friend of anybody that is wanting to know the truth. The mainstream media lies over and over and over and over again. That is their job. They won't get paid a paycheck if they tell you the truth, because the people at their organizations don't want them to tell the truth. So we go through life and, we deal with these situations, and some will be brave enough to deal with them, some won't. We're about to go through a period of time, this next couple weeks, where we have heard a lot of not opportunities, but a lot of challenging things that could happen. These could simply be rumors. Simply rumors that go on that will have no bearing on anything. Or they could be something. There could be something of significance going on. What's going to happen? I don't know. All I know is that we need to pay attention so that whatever it is, we can deal with whatever is going on, whether it is nothing or whether it is something. But I can tell you this, since we do know that we live in a world that is a mental world, a world of mind, we do know that the mind can be led to think many things. And therefore, when we have large groups of people who are thinking the same thing, or worrying or concerned about something going on, that in itself could be enough to create a situation. So if we go online into the internet, we've all found tons of information about September 23rd. We don't know what's going to happen that date. It could be nothing. The day could come and go and nothing will happen. And it could be a situation that somebody put all this information out in order to mislead individuals so they could say, look, all these conspiracy theories, they picked these dates and look, they were wrong. It could be something like that. Or it could be exactly as it is. Either way, there's information out there that has a lot of people thinking about a particular time and a particular date. And that in itself, with so many people focused on something, is enough to affect some sort of event or activity to take place. So therefore, we all have to be responsible in how we're going to deal with these times ahead of us. How are we going to deal with them? The reason that I bring things up on the show is not to scare you. It's not to show you that there's negativity in the world that we need to be afraid of. It's simply so you can be aware, because awareness is 50% of the problem or the solution. If we are aware of what's going on in the world, then when something happens, our awareness will help us to not be completely surprised by it, like a deer in headlights. Like, when did that happen? It's like this Muslim situation with Obama. There's a lot of folks who are saying, oh, he's not Muslim. I don't know how and why they could say that, because Obama, his very own words coming out of his mouth, have said it himself over and over and over again. But there are those who are still surprised. And there will be those, when the revelation is finally, made accessible to everyone, there will be those caught like a deer in the headlights, like, what? He's Muslim? He's a terrorist? When did that happen? Well, it's been happening for a long while, and there have been those who've been saying it. There are just those who aren't paying attention. So in the effort of paying attention just to be informed, it's important that we know what is going on so we can make a change. For anyone who's ever played a sport, you know that when you play that sport, you study what your opponent does so that you can counteract the plays that your opponent is doing. That's all it is. Looking to see what your opponent may do so you can counteract what he's doing with the plays that you're going to run. And that's all that this is about. So we look at these things simply to know and be aware. So the first thing I want to show you here says Marines test Google's latest military technology. So the purpose is to show you that things are moving forward. We've heard many years of the electronics and the Terminator type things happening and robots coming into reality. And here we see it. Our military is working alongside of them. Spot is electrically operated and walks on 4 hydraulically actuated legs. The latest version of the walking quadruped battlefield robot from Boston Dynamics, the military robotics maker owned by George X, was tested by U.S. Marines last week. Spot weighs about 70 kilograms, electronically operated, and walks on 4 hydraulically actuated legs. It's controlled via wireless by an operator who can be up to 500 meters away. It underwent trials and testing at the Marine Corps base in Quantico, Virginia, as part of the evaluation by the Marines of future military use of robotic technology. Okay, I'm going to leave this link so you can go and read the rest on your own. Point being, this technology exists. So if you're in the world and you start to see some of these strange looking robots, don't be surprised, because they're out there, they're real, they're existing. That's it. That's all you need to know. They exist. So if somebody tries to tell you it's not real, you've seen yourself the military is working with that. Now, the military is also working on some other technology. Now you see me. Pentagon officials eye breakthrough in invisibility tech. A team of researchers at the University of California, San Diego claim they have made major strides in cloaking technology. Naturally, the U.S. Department of Defense has expressed an interest and plans to review the research later this month. In July, Bobcar Dante at the team of UC San Diego announced that the successful test of a dielectric metasurface cloak. While that may sound like Scientology gadget, it's actually a thin material which manipulates visible light and radio waves, essentially an invisibility cloak. Previous cloaking studies needed many layers of materials to hide an object. The cloak ended up being a much thicker than the one of the size of the research of the object being covered. Researcher Li Yi-su said in a statement from the university. In the study, we show that you can use a thin single layer sheet for cloaking. It's far from true invisibility, but the U.S. military has long indicated an interest in obtaining stealth fabrics. All right, so there's something interesting. So how long before military personnel are wearing clothes like this? That would be something, how you could sneak upon the opponent. But again, it lends itself to the idea of the illusion. If one can manipulate the energy around them so as to see things in a certain way, then what that is, it's a manipulation of the energy or of the illusion. And it's just illusions within the illusions. Okay. Now, let's move on from here. This is a piece here from Brother Nathaniel. I want to play this one for you here. There we go.
If all the world is a stage, then Obama is nothing more than a Madison Avenue gimmick. And stagecraft was the key plug-in of Obama's trip to Israel last week. Netanyahu even said it himself, and Obama took the script.
Where do you want to start? Because I'd love to take a look at this.
Following the red line, sir.
Following the red line. Okay.
You can see on Monday.
We have this tendency of red lines all the time, right? Red lines. He's always talking about red lines. It's all about red lines. This is all a psychological ploy. This was minutely planned.
Obama is then whisked off to Jerusalem, where he's greeted by Israeli children. Notice there's a little black boy among the greeters. He looks like a little version of Obama, doesn't he? Now, I grew up as a Jew, and I can just hear the Jews saying, let's roll out a little Schwarza who looks just like Obama to mirror that we're a democracy, just like America. But tell that to the black Jews who have been forced to take birth control injections, and they'll tell you that democracy in Israel is only for those who have Jewish blood running through their veins. Obama is then brought to the residence of Shimon Peres, and the scene enters the next level, the plot. Obama is told to sit down and sign the guest book. Now, where have you seen this kind of thing before? Only the Jews could have cooked this up, and only Obama would succumb. Is he at a restaurant ready to order a meal? Nah, he's the busboy doing cleanup for the Jews. The symbolism is clear. Sign here, boy. Just like you signed and will sign all the Jewish crafted legislation our Jewish-bought senators and congressmen write for us. The plot thickens. Obama is taken outside to the garden and handed a shovel. The Schwartz in the White House now becomes Perez's personal gardener. And now Obama's masses, that is his masters, put their colt through his paces, seeing he's a most willing stooge. First, they take him to bow before the grave of Theodor Herzl, the founder of the Zionist takeover of Christendom. Watch Tel Aviv's Stephen Fetchit take his orders from the Jewish elders of Zion. Then their boy is hauled off to the grave of Yitzhak Rabin, former Israeli prime minister, and again they get Obama down on his knees. Last, at the compulsory visit to Yad Vashem, where Jewry is enshrined as the eternal victims of the Christian world, Obama, yet again on his knees, is forced to keep the, oh, we're such innocent Jewish victims and we're the only ones, resuscitated for another 4 years of American complicity with Israeli crimes. Now, I've never seen Obama bow at the graves of any of America's founding fathers, past presidents, or truly noble victims of injustice, have you? But the curtsy and scrape before the rotted bodies of dead Jews in memorials, as if Jews are the only royal victims of genocide, is a metaphor of America's plight. Jews only deserve America's adoration, reverence, and worship, especially if you're the President of the United States of America. JFK wouldn't do it. That's why they killed him.
All right. So, you've heard me talk about Obama being the Antichrist. I have no remorse about saying so because I believe that to be true. Now, I've had this discussion with others and they say, oh, he can't be the Antichrist. The Antichrist is some powerful being. Well, let's think about that. What would the Antichrist be? He would be Antichrist. He would be the opposite. We know that Christ was a powerful being. The Antichrist then might not necessarily be a powerful being. He might be someone who is just a wimpy, weak individual who is nothing more than a puppet for whatever darkness wants to go through him. And that is exactly what Obama is. He just follows along as a puppet does whatever someone behind the scenes is pushing him to do. And a person like that is very dangerous. And that is why he's the Antichrist, because he will do whatever somebody wants to push him to do. And those behind the scenes pushing his buttons know that he is that kind of an individual. Therefore, they can tell him to do whatever they want, and he'll just follow along. Hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. All right, I want to switch gears here for a moment. One of the illusions that the mainstream media does is to try to convince you that the person that they want in power is the one that you need to get on board with. And the ones who aren't, well, they want to lie to you about how well they're doing. If you were to flip through the mainstream stations, Fox is one of the big ones that a lot of people watch, they would have you believe that Carly Fiorina is in second and maybe even moving ahead of Donald Trump. But it seems to be that only exists on Fox News, because when you look at other polls, she's not in second. I'm going to show you this latest poll that came out here. Trump leads Clinton under 50. A strong performance in last week's Republican, and this was from today, Republican presidential debate has raised former Hewitt-Packard Carly Fiorina, but not nearly enough to cut into the real estate mogul's lead over the rest of the GOP field. Trump takes 32% of the vote among self-identified Republicans and Republican-leading independents, far ahead of retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson's 12% and former Governor Jeb Bush 11%. Fiorina finishes in fourth position at 6%. Okay, so 6% is not second place. 6% is not overtaking Donald Trump. Now, this isn't a Fox News poll, and therefore you're not going to get the same Fox News lies. And if you go to MSNBC or CBS or CNN or any of those, you're going to get skewed results depending on who they want you to believe is in power. Trump is not who the establishment wants, because Trump doesn't need to be bought off like other politicians do. They want these other people that way. That's why they push them. That's why they're lying to the American people that these are the ones that are actually the choices. These aren't the choices of the people. These are the choices of the powers that be. And the media, willing puppets, are just simply going along. Question I have to ask the mainstream media is, at which point do you decide to tell the truth? How bad do things need to get? Do the things you're lying about need to be knocking at your door and bringing harm to you and your family before you realize that you've misled the American people? That would be very sad. Very sad if that happened, especially when it's unavoidable for you telling the truth. But instead, you choose a paycheck over the truth. And in choosing that paycheck over the truth, you choose to be a traitor to this American country versus being with the people of America. You choose to be party to treason and all the other problems that's going on. So I hope that one day you'll come correct and you will begin to tell the truth. And I really hope that it doesn't have to get down to a dire situation where the very things you're lying to the people about show up at your doorstep. Because again, that would be very sad. It would be very sad, especially if it could have been avoided by you simply telling the truth. It's funny what people will do when they want to, be selfish. They only think about themselves. They don't think about others. And that's too bad. Now, here's a piece. I'm not going to play this. I'm going to leave this for you because it's a longer interview. You could see it is 11 minutes, 55 seconds in length. It says, Donald Trump, enough with the nice. This was an interview he did the other day, or not too long ago. It was published on the 13th here with the Wall Street Journal. Can you hear a bit more in depth about his thoughts and what's going on? I think that this is very important, that we have a man who is not bought and sold like the others, that is out challenging the status quo, that is challenging the powers that be. And every American should recognize that this man is standing up for them. Unfortunately, that's not the case because there's too many Americans who are simply caught up in their own selfishness. And in that, they're missing the point on how to help others. Very surprised, people who I never thought would be caught up in all of the lies are caught up just like everybody else. It's very surprising. Every day I find myself more amazed and surprised at the responses of people who I thought were smarter than that they were. Every single day. How many times during your lifetime have you heard people talk about Nazi Germany and say, never will that happen in this country, not on my watch, not while I'm alive? How many times have you heard that? Yet the very folks who have said that are the very ones who are being fooled because they're afraid to look at what's going on. And what is happening, the things they said would never happen on their watch are happening right under their noses. And it's even sadly ironic that not only is it happening under their noses, but the very people who said it would never happen and how they would know about it are actually defending others or defending it happening. And when others stand up and speak against it, they want to fight against that person. It's very bizarre. It's almost like things are backwards these days. I don't quite understand how it got this way, but then I do. Because if we would look at the script that is unfolding before us, it shows that there are going to be those in society who are going to walk the path of man and not care about the path of God. And that's where we're at. I didn't know that we would arrive at this place. I didn't know that there would be so many people that would be fooled or supporting non-American issues. I thought that America was filled with people that were really proud of this country and believed in what we're about and believed that we could be the greatest nation simply by expressing our morality. I didn't know that there were going to be that so many sold out for their own selfish reasons. And I hope one day things change, and as I'm sure you do too, but it's quite eye-opening. Now, one of the things we hear about, and we've discussed quite a bit, is these end times. And are we at the end times? What are the end times? Is the apocalypse upon us? Apocalypse means the revealing, that something is going to be revealed. Well, if we are aware of what's going on behind the scenes, then when the apocalypse or the revealing occurs, you're not going to be surprised because we already know. We've seen behind the curtain of what's taking place. The apocalypse or the revealing is going to be very surprising to those who have turned a blind eye, to those who simply believe every word out of the mouths from these personalities on Fox or MSNBC or CNN. When someone believes that, it changes everything. So the end times are upon us. We could see the signs. I'm going to show you a couple more that point to what's going on as being the sign of the times. This next one here is, so many things are baffling these days, but here is one. This has to do with abortion. It's a hashtag that popped up called Shout Your Abortion. Shout Your Abortion. And as you go through this, as thousands of women are sharing their experiences of abortion, and it is divisive. And I'm just going to leave that for you to read. Now, I'm not in any way, shape, or form telling you as a woman what to do with your body. That's your decision. But I do know that life is important, that we honor life. And I do believe that we need to come to understand when it is we're no longer honoring life. And in reading through many of these comments here, through this Twitter hashtag, it seems like there are those who are simply glorifying and shouting out loud, proudly, about the murder that they have committed against the children that were in their own bodies. And it seems very disheartening to see so much of this. And yet at the same time, it tells me that we are at end times, because why would people do this? Why would there be such a strong feeling and someone be so proud about killing a child that they gave birth to? I understand there's extreme situations. Women get raped and then there's a child and they need to decide what to do. Tough decision. But there's also a lot of situations where babies are aborted simply because the mother and the father didn't take any, or the two people getting together didn't take the precautions to protect themselves from having a child. They weren't very responsible with the way in which they used themselves, and then they're in a situation where they go and do something even drastic because they weren't responsible the first time, so that lack of responsibility continues on. So I want you to go read through this hashtag. You'll see what I'm seeing. It's not a good sign that people are so happy about this, but it is good to see that there are so many that have voiced their thoughts in this in a way that is expressing their outrage at what is going on. So it is good. Not everybody has lost their mind, but we do see that there is a portion of society that seems to have gone insane. And this last piece right here, again, this shows where we are in times, and I brought this article up before, but it says Obama invites transgender men, gay bishop to Pope Francis ceremony, angers the Vatican. So this here is one of these strange questions you have to ask. Well, why would this be? Pope Francis, and this was written a couple days ago, September 18th. Pope Francis has yet to set foot in the U.S., but already officials are walking on eggshells as controversy brews around his visit. The Vatican is taking some issue with several guests invited by President Obama to the Pope's welcome ceremony, including a transgender man, a gay pastor, and a nun whose views on abortion buck church teaching. That's the report out today by Catholic Online, a news outlet dedicated to all things Catholic. The website reports that Obama has stacked the deck against Francis by inviting an A-list of infamous American Catholics to meet the Holy Father. The move to invite the welcome ceremony transgender activist, the first openly gay Episcopal bishop, and an activist nun who heads up a group that has been chided by the Vatican for its silence on abortion and euthanasia, is intended to make a political statement and is being perceived as rude and challenging. The Catholic Online writes, even though some people reject teaching of the church on important matters, and even though they appear to be proud of their dissidents, the church still loves these people. The responsibility of the church is to treat all people with love and respect, even though they don't seem to love and respect themselves or the church. It should be clear that loving people do not also mean endorsing their sins. Okay? Now that's a very important part, and I think that's where we seem to have some confusion in the world. Yes, there are people in the world who are doing things that we don't agree with. Doesn't mean we don't love them, because love is very important. We need to love everybody. We hear stories of Jesus. Who did Jesus hang out with? The sinners. Those who were making an effort to be better. Maybe they weren't doing it right all the time, but he was with them to help them. He was loving them. But loving someone doesn't mean you agree with what they're about. Simply means you love them, you allow them the opportunity to express their free will choice, and then you will leave them to their own devices, because you have to walk your path. And each time we meet somebody who is walking a path that we know is not a path or a way that we should go, it gives us an opportunity to either stay where we're at or to go their way. Again, we're faced all the time with challenges of, are we going to follow God? Or are we going to follow man? And there's very specific rules set out for each. And God has his rules. We understand the rules that God has set forth because they're written in many books of spiritual insight. We also understand the rules of man because we see those in the way of the world. Jesus said, give to God what is God and give to Caesar what is Caesar's. And there is a lot of importance to that statement, because within the physical world, we trap ourselves within this illusion. In order to live and move through this, we need to take care of the physical world, and we create karma, and when we create karma, we have to pay our dues within this reality. But God asks something different from us, and we need to understand. And if we put man above God and man's rules above God, well, then we got a problem. Because man's rules aren't above God. Man didn't create God. God created man. So if we flip things around and misunderstand, we got a problem. So with all of these events taking place, we've got a lot of misunderstanding. We have, in America, a big problem. And I think America has a big smackdown coming its way for all of the lack of morality that we have expressed. Now, the lack of morality is coming from the powers that be, the leaders within this country. Just because these leaders are doing this thing doesn't mean we have to hate them. We need to pray for them. We need to understand that they're making the wrong choices, but we don't have to follow those choices. And this is where each and every individual needs to be strong. You need to be strong to follow your path. Because in a world that is following the ways of man as opposed to the ways of God, the ways of God aren't going to be the number one way in which people are encouraged to go. And so for those who have made that decision to walk that, it is a narrow path. Because people don't want to walk that path. They want to walk the path of man. It's easier. It's easier to walk the path of man for many people. Because the path of God requires a bit more of a moral character. Just more signs of what's going on. Now, that brings us to one of my favorite books called the Book of Enoch. Because I want to switch gears and show you that we're aware of what's going on. I could show you many more examples, but you get the point. And here we are at these times where we're wondering what's going to take place in the world. Are the bad guys going to continue to keep winning? Is there going to be all of this oppression that is continued to be put upon God's children, God's people on this planet? Are we going to continue to walk the path of immorality, or are we going to finally get our act together as a whole? And it doesn't have to be everybody, you know, the tipping point. Once we get to the point where there's more that are using their morality and standing in truth, will be different. Things will definitely be different. So here in the Book of Enoch, the link's available for you, but I'm simply going to go to chapter 1 just to remind you of what this says. Chapter 1, the words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and the righteous who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. And he took up his parable, and he said, Enoch, a righteous man whose eyes were opened by God, saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angel showed me, and from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one, which is to come. Concerning the elect I said, and took up my parable concerning them. The Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth. Even on Mount Sinai appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might from the heaven and the heavens. And all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them, and the ends of the earth. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and high hills shall be made low, and they shall melt like wax before the flame. The earth shall be rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all men. But with the righteous he will make peace. He will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them, and they shall all belong to God, and they shall be prospered, and they shall all be blessed. And he will help them all, and light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. And behold, he cometh with 10,000s of his holy ones, to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of the works of their ungodliness, which they have ungodly committed, and of all the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. So I bring this up because this is the important aspect of things. There are things going on in the world that are problematic. There is a lack of morality taking place. There is a new world order moving in around people. and on and on and on. But there's a promise from God, and there's words that let us know that everything's going to be okay. This is the time we must have faith. So just like we're reminded through the shofar that if we have faith, God will provide the way, this is a time where we need to have faith. And the earth is going to be dissolved from the illusion that is under. And when it is, then the apocalypse occurs and things are revealed. There will be a new light and a new opportunity for others to see what is going on. We need to really go for the light, my friends. We need to go for the morality within us. Just a reminder. Just a reminder. You know, we're in a good place. We just need to watch and pay attention. Watch and pay attention. This is an article from In5D, 7 Facets of Spiritual Awareness by Owen K. Waters. Life can be a treadmill of mundane details, or it can be an inspiring adventure of uplifting experiences. Through the regular daily practice of meditation, you can start each day by raising your frequency of consciousness. Here are 7 facets of spiritual awareness which unfold as a result of daily meditation. Any technique will work. Spiritual awareness facet number 1, flow. All sense of flow attracts synchronicity into your life's events. This almost magical sense enables you to always be in the appropriate place at the appropriate time in order to gain the most out of the experiences that the complete you, the inner self, planned for this life. Second thing is spiritual awareness facet is unconditional love. You develop a sense of unconditional love for the inner spiritual essence of all people that you connect with in your life, even the difficult people, as they are holding up a mirror for you to understand an aspect of past habits which deep down you would like to examine at this time. Your sense of unconditional love naturally includes full acceptance of yourself, just as you are, with the personality that you adopted for this lifetime of experience. You can catch those old thought patterns of self-criticism and remember that you live in a universe which is naturally full of love and unconditional acceptance. Spiritual awareness facet number 3, abundance. Accept abundance as the natural flow of the universe. Forget those opinions that there is something wrong with money. It's a form of energy, and the universe is filled with energy. Life gets more convenient when you are abundant. It gets really inconvenient when you are not. Facet number 4 is intuitive insight. Both men and women find that with regular spiritual practice, their sense of intuition develops smoothly and naturally. Soon your insights grow to become very valuable in dealing with the challenges of life. Facet number 5 is creativity. A growing sense of creativity becomes apparent when spiritual practice becomes your daily routine. You discover new ways to achieve results because you see situations from a broader perspective. Facet number 6 is wisdom. Advances in spiritual wisdom and understanding come with a deep meditation. In meditation, it is important to let distracting surface thoughts dissipate so that deeper realizations may surface at the time that they are needed. And number 7 is raising world consciousness. When you detach from worldly concerns and express a higher frequency of consciousness, the conflicts of the lower frequency of consciousness become automatically healed. When you let go of any form of conflict within yourself, you're able to raise to a higher frequency of consciousness in a state of harmony and balance. Higher frequencies of consciousness hold to a higher power, not just a slightly higher power. The power of the ratio of spiritual consciousness to conflict-oriented consciousness is many thousands to 1. If you allow balance to enter your life through spiritual state of consciousness, you will manifest immediately and very powerfully in your daily life. You will also be helping to raise the global consciousness in a very powerful, constructive manner. So in other words, as one person makes changes in their life, it assists everybody making changes in their life, because that energy, that way of moving through and changing, becomes something that other people feel encouraged to do. In the same way that when we see someone step out and be brave, it gives others the opportunity to be brave, because somebody else is out there. Nobody wants to be the first one to be out there because they feel like they're sticking their neck out for something. But we need to be brave. This is a time for us to be brave like never before. Because if we're not brave, we're going to give in to all of the lack of morality that's going on. And that would be the real problem. So, bravery. The good thing is this bravery exists within all of us. Every single one of us. All right, here's the Warrior of Light message for today, page 112. When he wins a battle, the warrior celebrates. This victory has cost him anxious moments, nights racked with doubt, endless days of waiting. Since ancient times, celebrating a triumph has been part of the ritual of life itself. Celebration is a rite of passage. His companions see the Warrior of Light's joy and think, what is he doing? Why is he doing that? He might be disappointed in his next battle. He might draw down on himself the wrath of his enemy. But the warrior knows why he's celebrating. He's savoring the best gift that victory can bring, confidence. He celebrates yesterday's victory in order to gain more strength for tomorrow's battle. Okay? And that brings us to our meditation. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. Now, let's imagine ourselves walking down a path. It's the path of life. And as we walk along this path of life, we see all sorts of other people. People of every color that we can imagine. Males and females. Short and tall. Fat and skinny. Good and bad. And as we see all these people walking along, we see that everybody is simply trying to figure out their way through life. And as everyone's figuring out their way, choices are made. And as choices are made, causes are created. Causes that go out and bring effects into the world. And so we look at all of these people and we send out love and light. We send out thoughts of positivity, that minds may be clear, and that we may be more focused. We imagine ourselves walking up a hill, and as we walk up the hill becomes a mountain. And as we walk up this mountain, there are boulders that move in our way, so we step out of the way so we don't get hit. We find there are trees that have fallen over, so we step around them or over them. We find that the earth beneath us sometimes gives way, but we keep moving on. And eventually, as we continue to move up that mountain, we make our way to the top. And from there we could see the earth. We see a perspective of the earth that we do not have from the lower valleys. We see a perspective of the earth that allows us to understand that what is going on down in the valleys are illusionary to what is taking place in the higher realms. And we realize that we all have the opportunity to raise and move up to the top of the mountain. It doesn't have to be a physical mountain. It is simply the mountain within ourselves, each one of us. The mountain of doubt. The mountain of fear. Whatever it is, we need to climb that mountain and move past our doubts and move past our fears. And there at the top of the mountain, at the height of our consciousness, at that place within ourselves, we find faith. We find truth. We find our connection to divinity, to God. And we understand that our purpose here has meaning. That our purpose here is not only to evolve as an individual, but to evolve collectively as a group. And therefore we understand that it is important to be selfless as opposed to be selfish. And in the process of being selfless, we find that we are actually helping ourselves more than any other time. Because that which we give and share with others comes back to us many, many times over. Until we finally understand that the more we give, the more we share, the more we get. And so we go into the world sharing that which we have to share. And we all have spiritual gifts to share. We all have ideas and emotions and words and actions. And as we share all of these things, we find the world becomes a much more faithful place, because doubts are removed and replaced by faith. We're no longer in a state of ignorance, and the chains around our necks drop off, and we realize that we were never, ever in bondage, except by our own thinking. And once we move past that, we become free. So let's imagine ourselves one by one, people upon this earth, flying free as the chains drop off and disappear. And as we find ourselves rising and moving in consciousness, let's just imagine the spirit of the universe smiling upon us. Let's imagine God looking upon us, very pleased to know that we've used our free will to get closer to God, get closer to understanding what is taking place. And as we do, all of our fears and doubts are replaced, and love and faith are the qualities that reside and remain. So let the subconscious mind continue on a journey of love, of light, of seeking out the truth. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's the show for today. So I don't know what's going to happen. I do know all the stories that are out there. We've shared them. Plenty of discussion about them. Plenty of people thinking about what might happen. Keep focusing on good. Keep focusing on the positive. So no matter what happens, that you remain a port in the storm for those who are confused and lost and don't know what's going on. There's so much strength and bravery upon this planet. There's so much strength and bravery within America. All we have to do is see past the illusion that is in front of us. And once we do, we're going to be amazed, because we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones. So let's step up to the plate. Let's take control of who and what we're about and live up to our destiny. Let's live up to our divinity. That's it for today. Have an awesome rest of your day. Pay attention to what's going on. Keep thinking positive. And I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Have an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other. Peace. I'm out of here.